Hey everybody, Nick here, owner, Three Cheers, Matt Hugger, part of Three Cheers family. Thank you guys for signing up for doing this kit. Today we're going to make a quesadilla and we're going to learn how to make pico. All right, so I got the whole family involved today. Emerson's behind the camera, Everett's here to take his turn, and Lisa's here to supervise. So we're at the Miller household and we're gonna make a quesadilla. So Jen and the team built a box for you. We're gonna pull out all these goodies. We're gonna walk through them real quick. Okay, so we've got our tortilla. Okay, we're gonna set that aside for now. We got our cheese. This will be for the quesadilla. We've got our chicken. That's here for the quesadilla as well. Salt. We definitely don't need this much salt for what we're doing, but this will be for our pico. Lime for pico. So I gave you a couple extras here. So you have a couple extra ingredients to use for different things. So let's pull all this out. Now, one thing about cooking, if you don't and you do fresh stuff, is you want to get as prepared as you can before you start. So we've got minced garlic in there. We didn't have you guys mince today because that's a little tricky. We're gonna unwrap our onion. And we got red onion here. Red onion's a little sweeter than white onion, so if you make anything that you're gonna eat without cooking, this is a good choice. Okay, we got a Roma tomato. Now that's a big guy. That's a big Roma. Okay, that's a nice one though. I'm gonna pull out the scallions. Scallions are otherwise known as green onions. Pretty straightforward. Put that out there. Cilantro. Now for some of you, this tastes like soap. For me, it does not. It tastes amazing. So that's actually a genetic thing if you didn't know. Okay, so we have got our gear here. I'm gonna open it all up. So what kind of tools do we need? So we need, you're gonna want a knife, you're gonna want a cutting board, you want a couple bowls. So I got a bowl for the pico, and I got a pan on the oven back there, okay? So we're gonna start first off with the quesadilla. That's what we're gonna start. We're gonna build that first because that's gonna need to cook. So we're gonna get that all prepared. I didn't open my shell. All right, so now this is pretty straightforward. I'll bet you every single one of you has made a quesadilla before. So, but we want to start with an easy one. Now, what can you put in a quesadilla? It's kind of like a sushi roll. You can put just about anything in a quesadilla. So what do we make at home? We make egg breakfast ones. We do dinner ones. Back in the day, long ago, my mother had a restaurant and she had a pesto quesadilla. And that was pretty ridiculously good. All right, so for this step, cheese, chicken, really that's it. We're gonna go simple. Bacon would be stellar in this, awesome. So take your cheese. I make mine on half. That's how I like to do mine. Come over here, buddy, so you can see it. Now, sorry for the shadows, guys, but it's with the light we got. So we're doing the cheese here, okay, on the half. So that's gonna be our bottom half that's gonna hit the burner. Now, I didn't say here before, like obviously wash your hands before you start cooking, which I did, and then you're always gonna wanna have a wet towel by just in case. So now spread this out. This is some nice, a little bit of smoked chicken, really good. Spread it out evenly, and then this other half of cheese, we're gonna take on the top. Okay, now what else could you put in here? Honestly, you could put scallion, you could put tomato, you could do all that. If you wanted to make the pico first and put it inside, you certainly could. That'd be pretty awesome. I like mine pretty cheesy, so we're gonna do that. Okay, and then really, get all your goodies inside. And we're just gonna fold it in half. Now I like to push it down pretty good. Makes it easy so a lot of stuff doesn't fall out. For now, we're gonna stick this guy over here. Okay, now, when we're gonna go make our pico, we wanna start our pan. It depends on what kind of oven you got. We have a glass top at our house. So I would suggest starting it at about, low, medium low. And the only reason you're doing that is because you want to warm up your pan. Because we're going to do something else, but if your pan gets warm, it's easy to turn it up a little bit later. So, okay, we're going to go back and make pico. Now, what is pico? I mean, honestly, it's like a fresh salsa. So, now what do you need? This is a knife. Okay, now these are culinary kitchen knives. You get them in a knife block. Kitchen knives in restaurants are a little bit bigger. This is what I like using. If you have this at home, totally cool. just gotta be a little careful with it and get after it. But I'm gonna use the big knife. We're gonna go with that. So we want our bowl, and we want all of our goodies out there. We're gonna start breaking down our goodies and prepping them to go into the bowl. So, okay, here we go. So tomato first, Roma tomato. You got the top there, that's a little ugly. I just take off the top like that, okay? Now, you can save this stuff. We'll get to that after a minute. So now really the easiest way to do this is to break it down to pieces so that you can chop it. Because what we're gonna do is chop this tomato, kind of fine chop. So you're gonna take it down each step, half. Now here, you've got it half. Now why do you do some of this stuff? Because it doesn't slide around. If you try to chop a round tomato, it's gonna roll and you can cut yourself. So the flatter you get this, the better. So you're gonna wanna take this now, and you can do it one of two ways. We're gonna do it the way the way you do it in the kitchen. Cut that thing down the list down there. This is with a nice sharp knife. You come across this way. Okay, and then you come across here like this. Now you got all those nice little dices. So I did some pre-cuts so that it can go by really quickly and chop up my stuff, okay? Now you get these little end guys here and you just take care of them. So, other way to do this, if you don't feel comfortable with those pre-cuts, would be to cut this in half. Okay, now make it into two pieces. Again, it's flat, it's not gonna scoot around on you. And then you just wanna cut it into little, what would that be called? Sticks, I guess? Whatever that size of cube you want it to be. And then you're gonna pull these across and just, now, if you can notice, this is a little trick. I don't know if you do a lot of knife stuff, but if you put your knuckles out against the knife when you're chopping, you're less likely to cut a fingertip off. Now, if you're rocking the paring knife today, same thing. You just got to put a little more pressure on there because you don't have as long of a knife. Okay, so just be careful. Cut across, no big deal. Just put that pressure down on the tomato. Now these Roma tomatoes are obviously out of season, so they got a little crispiness to them, like that's normal. And since we don't like wasting stuff, let's take this top here and dice that, okay? So these tomatoes are, in a different part of the season, but when you get into the summer in the lakes area and you can get fresh tomatoes, they're gonna be a heck of a lot juicier, that's for darn sure. Now, one thing you can do with the cutting board, okay? Pull it back, and you can either use your hand or take the knife, flip it over, and you got a little, oops, got a little scraper there. Oh, I'm gonna mess that up. And you can just use that to push the stuff into the bowl, okay? There you go, so we got our diced tomatoes. So next up, we're gonna take we'll do this onion, we'll get that guy done. So we're gonna dice this onion. Now you're gonna usually get a round onion, so you're gonna take off the top, bottom, peel it, and cut it into quarters. And then to do a little chop to it, cut out that center, like that, pull it out. Now this is flat, remember how we like things to be flat, because they're a little easier to control and they're not gonna rock on you. And then the same thing you did before, start your little setup lines, come down, and then you want to come back across, get to the end here, start with a nice fresh one. You see that good, Everett? Okay. And then you're going to come across and look how that breaks down. Now I didn't have to go in it at the side this way because an onion has got that natural layers anyways. Ogres are like onions, so you got. Yeah. And then you just kind of rough chop this stuff at the bottom, no big deal. So there's our onion. Whether you want to use the little innards or not, totally up to you. You don't want to waste it. I like a good salsa. Okay, there I go using my hand. Now, of course, I didn't use it with the tomato, and I use it with the onions. Now I'll have an onion-smelling hand. All right, scallions, green onions. That's the next guy we're going to put in there. So we got 2 in your pack. So how you take these, if you feel like there's some soft stuff here, you peel it off, okay? Otherwise, just cut the ends off. Get those in your little trash bin. The way I do this, cut them in half, bring it all forward, so it's in a pile there. Is it close enough? You see it? Okay. And then you're just gonna do the same thing you were doing before, just drive it across straight. Again, if you're using the paring knife, not a big deal. You're just gonna have to pinch it a little bit more. And if you don't have a sharp knife, just be careful, go slow. Might smash it a little bit. Like this paring knife is definitely duller than the other. Now, this is kind of a nice rough chop, bigger cuts, that's okay, because if you're doing it with a quesadilla, you don't care. If you want to do it a little finer, you just got to hold that chop a little closer. Maybe on one of our other videos we'll work on showing some chopping techniques. Okay, and then here we got cilantro, last guy that I'm going to put in there. I love cilantro, so I'm going to put it all in there. Now, one little thing you got to know, some herbs you got to take the stems off, some you don't. Cilantro you don't. So I just took that bundle, tight as I can, folded it in half, and I'm just going to chop it up. Okay? Now you see this cutting board we're on right now, Chris at Makerspace, which is downtown. Put this together for me in 2 days. Got us a logo for our new box meal program we're putting together, which we will also have college meals available for at some point after lunch, just like this. And that'll be a cool, ready to go, prep it yourself kind of meal. So there's your cilantro. Now again, remember how we're picking stuff up? You can do this. Carefully use your knife edge to pull stuff off the board. You don't want to do a lot of dragging with your knife edge on the sharp edge if you're not being very careful, because it'll just make the blade dull. Okay, so now we've got cilantro, tomatoes, onions, scallions, and then we're gonna take a little bit of garlic. Now it's up to you if you want your hands to smell like garlic for a while or give it a little click. I would say you take about 1/3 of what you were given and put it in there. Last thing, salt. This is kosher salt. This is awesome salt. This is the salt you want. You're gonna take this, I would say put a little bit of a pinch, or 2 or 3, give it some love. Stick that in there. Last component, I actually forgot to cut it before, a lime. Now we gave you a lot of lime. I think you got a half. If you didn't get a whole, you got a half. Let's go with a half, because I think that's what you guys got. So here's a half a lime. You know what I didn't do is clean this off. I should have been. Jenna would tell me I didn't do that right. Here's your lime. Okay, so you're gonna take this and you're gonna cut it into quarters, which is just cutting it in half again. Now you got a quarter, and all you're gonna do with this, like anybody knows, take this, squeeze that bad boy into this, okay? Now you could add a little pepper to this if you want, a little spice. If you like sriracha or anything like that, you could do a squirt of that in here. Oops, one thing I forgot was a spoon. So we're gonna take this now, simply mix it up. No big deal. Now, that's a lot of people, I like it. This could be, now depending on how you dice your tomatoes, I mean, mine are pretty rough. If you dice them a little smaller, and again, when you get those nice ripe in-season tomatoes, this turns into a little bit of a softer salsa. There you go. Best way to know if you did it right, try it. I want a little more salt. I like it. Okay, so you got all those flavors in there together. So we got the Pico ready to go. So let's do this. Okay, we're gonna put this down. So now we're gonna get over here and do our quesadilla. So here's our quesadilla we made. Our pan, if you put your hand over it, if you just did it at a low heat, should be kind of warm. You got 2 options here for you. We didn't pack either of these for you, so I don't know what you have, but there's actually 3 things. Pan spray, which we use on occasion for sure. You've got butter, which I love, absolutely, or you could do oil. So it depends on which thing you want to do. If you do the butter, you know, that's what we'll do here. Like you just take it a little bit soft, stick it on the quesadilla, no big deal. Okay, and flip it over, put it there. If you want pan spray, lightly spray it into your pan right before you put it down. Don't want to get too hot. Now I'm gonna take this heat and I'm gonna move it up a little bit now, since I'm over here watching it. This pan's already warm, so it shouldn't take too long to get to where I want it. And I'm gonna put this guy in here. Now, this is always the fun thing about quesadillas. I think if you've made them before, you know that this is where these things can get a little too hot and it gets a little too dark. That's why they make salsa and sour cream, so you can balance that out. So we're gonna finish this here. Let it brown up. We'll do this, I'll bring this back over. All right, let this guy cook. Shouldn't take too long. Again, what else can you do with a quesadilla? Breakfast, absolutely. If you're an El Tequila fan, I'll give you a little secret. My wife and I, we take the molcajete, which we absolutely love, which is like beef, shrimp, chicken, what else is in there? Bacon, cheese. I mean, it's super good. So it's like this really cool thing. You put in tortillas, all that. Well, it's fun the next morning to make either a breakfast burrito or a quesadilla. And so you take that meat mix and you stick it in a quesadilla in the morning with a little bit of egg. Killer. So that's a way to use leftovers, and that's an important thing. So you can tell, like if you guys can't hear it probably, but it's starting to sizzle a little bit. That's that butter starting to do its job on the bottom. You know, you just kind of want to let it sit and rest. You can see that it's starting to melt that bottom cheese. Let it do its job. You know, you can kind of get a good idea when you see the edges starting to dry a little bit, like you know that you're going to start to get towards the flip. The thing I learned about this is, you know, cooking, like if you want it to be perfect, flip it early, flip it back again if you think you need to, but you know, pretty good. Getting pretty close. What other things can you add to a quesadilla? Sour cream if you got it. Salsa. I mean, we're making basically a salsa with the pico, but you might like that flavor as well. Okay, I'm gonna give this a flip. All right, so we're gonna loosen it up under there. So we don't want this to fall apart when we flip it. So come from the open side and give it a little bit of thing. Okay, now get that butter sizzling on the other side. Nice little gold. What? Is it good? Do you like it? We had a taste tester over there trying the pico. So, okay. Next week, I think we're doing a macaroni and cheese. Don't quote me on that, but you can see it at the cafeteria.
Yep.
I think we got 5 weeks worth of stuff. So next week we're going to teach you how to make a cheese sauce out of things you wouldn't think you could make a cheese sauce out of. So it's going to be fun. And you know what? I think we don't want to assume that you know how to boil pasta. So we're going to teach you how to do that too. So it'll be pretty cool. You're either going to get me, Jenna might make an appearance, Dusty at the college, who's doing the cafeteria right now and helping us with the BA burgers. He could be doing it as well. So, or Jason. Jason. We got a lot of players that can do this really well for you. So we'll put it together. Okay, I'm liking it. Perfect. Okay, so we can now if you're feeling doubt, yeah, that's what we want. Okay, so we're gonna take this off. Make sure you turn your burner off. Nothing like a smoking pan to wreck a day. I'm gonna carefully bring this over to the cutting board. That I did Lisa, my pregnant wife, struggling to get behind me there. Okay, so last little bit, as Everett's eating all the cheese and pico. So we take our quesadilla, however you wanna. That's how we usually do it. And you get your pico. And then really, you're gonna love this stuff so much that you just might as well put the spoon in there and just serve it right on top and just keep eating it. Okay, so there we go. Quesadilla, Pico de Gallo. There's the CLC Mad Hugger cooking class for you. We'll see you next week. All right, everybody? Take care.